Thank you for tuning in for today's episode of the Rice Crypto Show. I'm your host, Rice. And on today's episode, I'm going to be talking about the digital dollar and all the news surrounding it. And I'm going to be doing this video in two parts. Part one is going to be all about the digital dollar and the research that I've done regarding that subject. Part two is going to be about this rabbit hole I've been going down, something that's really caught my attention regarding the digital dollar that I wanted to share with everybody and basically get some feedback on. And anything that I'm talking about in part one and part two of this video, I definitely encourage people to comment down below if you have some information that you can provide, links, or you just want to be a part of the discussion. I definitely encourage that because this is a really interesting subject to be talking about. Now, with everything going on around the world with the virus, people staying at home, self-quarantining, and doing the social distance thing, which I definitely encourage everyone to do, make sure you're keeping your immune system strong. It's very important, especially right now, to stay as healthy as you can and keep your immune system as strong as possible. And I did do a video a couple days ago that I'll link down below and above called the Coronavirus Vlog Number 1, which is some information I go over based off research that I've done, things that I'm taking, and things that other people are taking to improve their immune system and keep it strong. So I definitely encourage you to watch that video. And if this is your first time ever checking out any of my videos, I do encourage you to explore my channel. Make sure you're subscribed, smash that like button, hit the notification bell so you can stay up to date with my videos as they come out. And I also encourage everyone to follow me on my backup channel on LBRY, where I post exclusive content, and I'm going to have links down below. Now we're just going to go ahead and get right into today's video. Now, I've done a lot of research regarding this subject, and everything that I'm talking about in today's video, I'm going to have linked down below. So the articles that I'm discussing, I encourage you to read in full so you have a better understanding of everything that I'm talking about. And as always, I encourage you to educate yourself, do your own research, and use critical thinking. That's very important, especially in today's day and age. Now, I'm going to be talking about the digital dollar wallets, central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs. I'm also going to be discussing the digital dollar project. Now, what's happening is there are two pieces of legislation that have been introduced that include the digital dollar in its terminology as an introduction. Now, what this would be doing is implementing a digital dollar and a wallet structure that, as of now, says would involve the post office. And I'm assuming that's because of wire fraud charges, but I'm not really exactly 100% sure why the post office. And also implementation into the banking and financial system. So this is actually going to introduce the idea of wallets to the general public. It's also going to require member banks to maintain a pass-through for digital wallets used directly in transactions. So this would basically be a distributed ledger system, but it wouldn't be a decentralized open system. It would definitely be a centralized and closed system with a wallet for a digital currency, not a cryptocurrency. So I don't want you to be mistaken and think that this has anything to do with anything Bitcoin or cryptocurrency. It's a digital currency. It's completely separate, and it's definitely centralized. And ultimately, this just reveals what they are planning to do ultimately. So I'm going to go ahead and go over the articles. The first article comes from the Wall Street Journal, and it's titled, "Fed Digital Dollars Are Part of Debate Over Corona Stimulus." So as I said, we have two pieces of legislation that were introduced. The first one, which was the stimulus bill, Nancy Pelosi had and someone else had introduced some information about the digital dollar. And so the coronavirus stimulus, this article from Forbes, coronavirus stimulus offered by House Financial Services Committee creates new digital dollar. Now, ultimately, what happened with that was before they were able to come to terms with anything, the digital dollar proposal was completely stripped from that piece of legislation. That is the coronavirus stimulus bill. So it was completely stripped and it was passed through, and everybody knows the news about that. It's like $2 trillion injection and somewhere around like $1,200, 12 2 million, excuse me, $2 trillion injection into the system for bailouts. That would also include money to citizens. That would be like $1,200 per person with an additional $500 per child, from what I understand. But that's not what this video is about. Just kind of getting off on a little bit of a tangent there. But as we see with everything that's going on, the government is talking about introducing a digital dollar. So this first piece of legislation, the stimulus bill, the information was basically stripped. So moving forward, the digital dollar wallet's considered for coronavirus crisis payments. And this article comes from ricecrypto.com. And just the beginning of this article talks about the highlights. A digital dollar bill was proposed for emergency payments to eligible U.S. citizens. The U.S. Postal Service would help eligible customers set up their wallets, and a digital dollar could onboard millions of people to Bitcoin. And so basically the introduction of wallets is a thing that could onboard people to Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies, especially if people start losing more faith in the government and the Federal Reserve, and they see exactly what's going on behind this fractional reserve banking system and what the Federal Reserve has created. Absolutely crazy stuff. But so as part of the plan to aid the unbanked in the U.S., politicians are considering the use of crypto dollars and digital wallets to speed up the disbursement of direct emergency funds. So that's kind of the beginning of it. You hear a lot of businesses right now not accepting cash. This is actually leading possibly in a direction where they could try to get rid of cash entirely and go cashless. I mean, there are a lot of rumors, a lot of information out there that a cashless society would be easier because this digital currency would be trackable. It would be in a closed system. So, I mean, so many possibilities when it comes to that. And it's really scary to think about. So, that's why I wanted to do a video on this subject. Other people are doing videos on this, but I wanted to add in my 2 cents, my 2 Satoshis on this subject. And also, I do a lot of research, so I think the research that I cover is pretty immense. I actually had to kind of chill on my research so that I could be able to make this video, and that's the reason why it's in 2 parts. So the next article I want to talk about comes from Forbes, and it's called "$1 Trillion Stimulus Jumpstarts Project to Issue Central Bank Currency on Ethereum." So central bank digital currencies, CBDC. We've heard that China's going to be doing this. I believe the European Union is talking about doing this, and there's other countries talking about doing this. I'm going to be talking a little bit more about that part in part 2 of this video. But what I wanted to highlight specifically from this article was the fact that there was a previously scheduled meeting at a blockchain consortium, Hyperledger, about a new project called Ethaler, using the Ethereum blockchain to create a central bank digital currency. And with everything that's going on regarding the stimulus bills and all this crap, it's kind of escalated to push to introduce a CBDC, the central bank digital currency. And even Steve Mnuchin had said that a couple months ago, I think it was November or December, that it would probably be at least 5 years before they looked into something like that. And then I think it was about a month ago, he said that they're looking into the technology for future use, and because of everything that's going on with the coronavirus, it looks like it's speeding up the process, and it is very possible that not only will we see a digital dollar be introduced, but we will also see a central bank digital currency. So, as I mentioned, the first piece of legislation, the information for the digital dollar was stripped out. But there's a second piece of legislation. I was thinking it was in this article. I believe it is. I'm just trying to see where it was in this article. Here it is. The bill has been titled "Take Responsibility." No, that's no, this is it. What I had heard of it is being called is the Financial Protections and Assistance for Americans, Consumers, States, Businesses, and Vulnerable Populations Act. I wasn't familiar with the first part of it of Take Responsibility for Workers and Family Act. But this particular act, I'm going to have the information in this legislation does include a digital dollar and digital dollar wallet implementation, and the post office being involved in that. And this actual piece of legislation is still ongoing as far as I'm aware. If you have any information that says differently, please provide it down below. Because like I said, I've been doing a lot of research on this subject, but I don't think this bill's been knocked down or passed. Which would mean that the digital dollar verbiage is still there. And if for some reason it is passed and the digital dollar and digital dollar wallet verbiage is taken out and stripped like the first piece of legislation, it still ultimately reveals what they're trying to do and what they have planned. And this really could bring a lot of attention, a lot more of attention to Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, because Bitcoin was created for this. And I did put out a video not too long ago about the economic crash that I definitely encourage you to watch. So again, if you are unfamiliar with my channel, make sure you explore. If you're familiar with my channel and you haven't been keeping up with my content, definitely, man, get caught up, because people got plenty of time. It doesn't look like this quarantine thing is going to end anytime soon. So I discovered something about the Digital Dollar Project, which is a project that was created by Chris Giancarlo, who is the former CFTC chairman. Him and his brother, I believe it's his brother or a family member, are heading this project. And I will have links for this down below so you could check this out as well, because I really found this to be interesting. But basically, reading it directly here, leading the discussion on a U.S. central bank digital currency. The Digital Dollar Project is a partnership between Accenture and the Digital Dollar Foundation to advance exploration of a United States central bank digital currency, or CBDC. The purpose of the project is to encourage research and public discussion on the potential advantages of a digital dollar, convene private sector throughout leaders and actors, and propose possible models to support the public sector. The project will develop a framework for potential practical steps that could be taken to establish a dollar CBDC. So like I said, we do have a digital dollar coming. We do have a central bank digital currency coming. Something I found really interesting is this is the bill, the Financial Protections and Assistance for American Consumers Act that was put out. I found it really interesting just searching the two words digital dollar. It actually comes up 23 different times in the actual piece of legislation. And as you scroll through, you can see it's listed here as digital dollar. The term digital dollar shall mean, and it goes into their definition of what the digital dollar is and so forth. The digital dollar wallet, as you see here, it's a pass-through for member banks, which means that banks are going to be able to have to implement this technology into their systems. This is some pretty interesting, heavy stuff. I definitely encourage people to check this stuff out in its entirety. This video would be way too long if I tried to go over all this information in one sitting. So to summarize what I've talked about, we've covered the digital dollar, the digital dollar wallets, the CBDC, central bank digital currencies, and we've talked about the Digital Dollar Project that's headed up by Chris Giancarlo, the former CFTC chairman. We've seen two pieces of legislation being introduced that have digital dollar. One has already had the information stripped away and passed. And we have the second piece of legislation. Again, if you have any information that you can provide, please provide some information on that second piece of legislation. But like I said, this is going to introduce wallets to the general public. And if you're already involved in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, it gives you an opportunity to educate your friends and your families. You might even be able to start a business as a consultant. What I try to offer is basically tech support and just basic information to help somebody out. And what I would definitely encourage you not to do is to give any sort of financial advice to anybody, because that can get you in a lot of legal trouble. So all you really want to do is just educate people on the basics of how to set up a wallet, how to buy and sell cryptocurrency. And then if they want to do other things, there's plenty of information out there, plenty of resources. And obviously right now people have plenty of time. So like I said, I want to be doing a part 2 of this video, which is going to be talking all about this particular rabbit hole I went down and found some really interesting information surrounding the digital dollar and the idea of a central bank digital currency being introduced and issued here in the United States. Now, like I said before at the beginning of this video, if this is your first time ever checking out any of my content, make sure you explore my channel. Make sure you smash that like button if you enjoyed this video. Hit the notification bell so you can stay up to date with my videos as they come out. Follow me on my backup channel, LBRY, where I post exclusive content. And as always, I encourage you to be the change by practicing change. And I love you all.